Hi everyone, I'm Jackie Danilewicz, co-chair for JNF's Women for Israel chapter in Eastern PA. My co-chair, Laurie de Brouw, who you'll hear from later in the program, and I are excited to welcome you to our first episode in the series From Our Jewish Home to Our Jewish Homeland, where we'll be making connections between businesses in our area and various programs within the Jewish National Fund while incorporating recipes that you can enjoy at home. Before I begin, I wanted to say a few words about our Women for Israel chapter here in the Eastern PA region. Many of you already know that Women for Israel is a dynamic group of female philanthropists who share a passion for building a strong and secure future for the land and people of Israel. Women for Israel account for approximately 25% of JNF's total giving nationally, and through events, we aim to continue supporting and ensuring the future of Israel together. I'd also like to mention that today, October the 1st, is a very special day, as it is the first day of the Jewish National Fund's new campaign year, and my husband, Dale, begins his first day as the president of the Eastern PA Board of Directors. I wish him the best of luck and success during his term. Dale and I became involved in the JNF soon after arriving in the Philadelphia area around 8 years ago. A friend spoke passionately of the work the JNF was doing in Israel at a dinner party, and without much coaxing, we excitedly signed on and were whisked away to Israel on the JNF housing mission. We had visited Israel on a few occasions, and even though the country is so small, we were introduced to more impressive and beautiful places and regions we were completely unaware of. We participated in discussions with mayors of towns and heads of kibbutzim as we strategized how the JNF could help develop these regions. The best part, however, about the mission were our traveling companions, each of whom embraced us as a member of the family. And this is how I connect our introduction to the JNF with tonight's events. We were especially fortunate to be traveling with Steve and Laurie de Brouw, our esteemed speakers tonight, and my fabulous co-chair of Women for Israel, respectively. We have since developed a special relationship for which I am still grateful to the JNF. Steve, Laurie, and their wonderful son, Jason, the other speaker this evening, were gracious in giving us a personalized and in-person tour of Chelten House, when COVID had not yet entered our lexicon, and we were blown away by how impressive this operation is. I won't steal their thunder and will thus introduce you to two of our speakers for this evening, Steve and Jason de Brouw. Steve is the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, and Jason is the President and Chief Operating Officer of Chelten House, a fourth-generation family-run business whose products you'll see on the shelves of the nation's largest private label retailers and food service companies, including Trader Joe's and Whole Foods Market. Steve is going to take us on a virtual tour of the factory, and he and Jason will discuss ways they use their expertise in the food industry to work with the Jewish National Fund's new project, the Galilee Culinary Institute. Over to you, Steve and Jason.
Can you hear me, Jackie? Okay, thank you for having us. Really appreciate it. Jace, do you want to introduce yourself, and then I'll go from there?
Sure. Thank you, Jackie. Appreciate it. So Jason de Brouw. I represent the fourth generation of Chelten House products, and also proudly third generation in my family to be involved for JNF. So really excited to be here this evening, and excited to share a little bit about Chelten House.
Great, thank you. We put together a little video for you. Now, it was tough because of COVID. We wanted to do a little virtual and kind of walk through the plant and do it virtually for you, but because of all the masks and all the different things that are going on within our facility, we just weren't able to do that. But what we were able to do is we pieced together a couple videos. We had some work that if you remember at the JNF, when we were honored, we pieced together that video. We have another great video of what's going on at our facility for our new employees and how they have to deal with the COVID situation here as they come to work for Chelten House. And then we did a little add-on as well, to show some of the production lines and process areas as well, and pulled it all together. So hopefully everybody will enjoy it, and then we'll afterwards we'll answer any of the questions that you have.
Hello, I'm George Arbocas, Corporate Manager of Technical Services here at Chelten House Products. Been here 15 years. Let's go in the plant and meet the Chelten House family. All right, so now we're here with Denise Manchester, Quality Technician. What is your quality role?
I check batches from the beginning to the end.
Great, I know Steve used to do all those checks by himself years ago. He had a lot of difficulty because when something didn't go right, he couldn't reprimand himself enough. So how is it to work for Steve and the family?
The family's wonderful. They treat me as one of their own. It's really remarkable.
So here with Dave Rivera, Processing Manager. Dave, how long have you been here with Chelten House?
7 years.
About 7 years. I remember when Steve used to tell everybody he had to make all 10 batches years ago, all by himself. How do you guys do it today?
Well, I think it's a little different than when Steve did it before. Now we make like 200 batches a day, and it's very automated.
All right, so here with Bal Castro, warehousing supervisor here at Chelten House. Bal, how long have you been working here at Chelten House?
I've been here for 10 years.
How is it to work for Steve and the rest of the family?
Oh, I love it. I mean, it brings a smile to my face because I see these guys out here always working with us.
All right, let's talk to one of the other line personnel. Excuse me, do you have a moment? Wow, it's the First Lady of Chelten House, Lori Daybrown. What are you doing here?
Steve's the one that gets all the glory, CEO, Entrepreneur of the Year, but really I'm the one that does all the work.
Steve is one of the finest human beings that I've ever met in my life. When you talk about honesty, integrity, and character, Steve absolutely demonstrates all of those traits. The generosity and kindness of the Daybrow family is second to none, something we can all learn from. They make the world a better place, and we're all blessed for that.
At Chelten House, we are family. And like all successful families, we work together and focus on the positive. As we navigated through COVID-19, this family learned together. We are committed to ensuring the safety of our team members and their loved ones at home, while providing essential products to our customers and communities all across the country. And now, we are excited to welcome the newest members to Chelten House. Welcome to the family. Let's introduce you to our redefined work environment. As you step into our offices and facilities for the first time, all of our safety measures and social distancing protocols are in place to ensure you feel comfortable in your new home.
Upon arrival, first things first, let's check your temperature. Our outdoor temperature check stations, along with our available thermometers for self-administered testing, help us identify team members with fevers before passing through our doors. In the event any team member has a fever, they will be asked to go home. We continuously communicate and share reminders with our team members that it is crucial to monitor your own symptoms. In the event you are experiencing COVID-related symptoms, stay home, and our Human Resources team will assist you with next steps. After you pass your temperature check, you will enter our doors, and that's where you will truly notice our safety measures in action.
First and foremost, we have installed step and pull foot door opening solutions. This allows team members to enter through our doors without spreading germs through often used door handles. As you make your way to your cubicle, office, or workstation, you will notice that Chelten House has implemented strict guidelines to ensure you are adhering to proper social distancing guidelines. These social distancing guidelines include floor signs throughout the offices and hallways, limited foot traffic in high traffic areas, maximum occupancy restrictions in meeting rooms, restricting large gatherings in community areas, and new ways to clock in. We have multiple signs providing concise instructions on how to prevent the spread of germs, and we've doubled down on disinfectant wipes and hand sanitizer pumps. And of course, it is a requirement to wear a protective mask or covering over your face, and if required, gloves. Chelten House has PPE on site if needed.
As essential workers, customers and consumers across the country are counting on us to keep their shelves filled with safe, nutritious food to help feed their families and surrounding communities. Therefore, our safety measures keep evolving. We work diligently with our partners at WorkNet to administer on-site COVID-19 testing. Cubicles and workstations now boast plexiglass dividers, allowing you to feel at ease in your dedicated work environment. There are new drop zone areas for internal and external deliveries and exchanges. There is a new HR self-service center allowing for ease of communications. We revamped common areas to be used as intended, but under social distancing practices. We have strategically implemented a strict home site policy, meaning there are solutions in place to help avoid contact between our facilities, everything from in-person meetings, swapping of ingredients and boxes, to paperwork. We continue to update signage and presentations throughout the facility. We communicate across all channels to share necessary updates. Transparency is our backbone. Our focus is on the safety and well-being of our entire team. This remains our top priority and is of utmost importance. We will also continue to adapt as necessary and implement any additional changes to ensure our team members are safe. We are one team and we are in this together. Thank you.
Chelten House offers more than 1,000 unique products and recipes that keep our customers and their consumers at the forefront of America's changing tastes. Our precision small batch technology gives us extraordinary control over cook times, temperatures, and the addition of ingredients, delivering a level of quality that rivals the best fine dining establishments and enables us to repeat that quality on a scale that meets the needs of even the largest food retailers. We handpick only the finest, freshly sourced ingredients from the best farms and adhere to the strictest quality control standards, ensuring our products taste as fresh and delicious as the moment they were harvested. We boast 8 full-scale production lines in our facility and more than 400,000 square feet of manufacturing and distribution space. This includes 3 hot pack lines which focus on pasta sauces and salsas, and 5 cold pack lines which cover salad dressings, marinades, and condiments. In 2018, we expanded a new distribution center, including corporate offices and a repack facility, which provides multi-pack and other specialized packaging options. All of our products are shipped across the country, covering over 15,000 stores on a daily basis. Chelten House has been an industry leader in organic products for more than 25 years. Many of our dressings, sauces, and other condiments are certified organic, and several of our dressings and sauces have won industry awards. Thanks for taking the time to learn more about Chelten House today. We look forward to answering any other questions that you may have.
Thanks so much for sharing that video with us, Steve and Jason. It's so fascinating to see how products are made and packaged and getting this incredible behind the scenes look. I'm going to hand it over to you both to just share a few remarks, if you don't mind, on some of your background and then how you got started with getting involved with Jewish National Fund. And then I know we have a few questions that have been submitted, so I'll ask you those in a moment as well. But let me hand it over to you, Steve and Jason, to start us off.
Sure. Thanks, Sam. I got involved obviously through my father and Louise, who have been very important at JNF, and it was a great way for myself and Lori to get involved. And we used to hear all the, every day my father would come in the office and tell me something new about what was going on with JNF, and it got us really interested. And obviously it was easy for us to get involved, and we just met so many great people, and it's been just a great gift to the family to be able to give back to the JNF and be a part of it, really, and contribute in any way we can. So we've just, we love being part of it and enjoyed it so far. So it's all been good. So go ahead, Jace, let you go from there.
Sure. Yeah. Similar story. Super lucky to have, amazing role models and my parents and grandparents that have been so involved in J&F over the years and made such an impact. So being able to learn from them and get involved and be a part of J&F future as well.
Thrilled to hear it. So I know too that there was a mission that took place last year, and Steve, and I know Lori was on the mission as well as a few people on this call too. And you were able to see the Galilee Culinary Institute, or you were nearby with the classrooms, and you were able to kind of get a sense of what that new project was going to be. And I'd love to know any of your thoughts about just being there in that space, and of course you're able to use your expertise in the food industry. I mean, both Jason as well too. But when you were in Israel and you were standing on that site, can you tell me what that was like, and any thoughts for what the future of the Institute will be?
Sure. Now it's really exciting, and I go back to when Russell came down to Philadelphia and with Lior, and they started to tell me about the program and how to get involved and what their thoughts were on it. And then to be able to go to Israel and like you said, stand in the location of where the building is and all the work that they're going to do. And I don't know if some of you were, but there was a big Zoom that on the Culinary Center just a couple of weeks ago, talking about all the different things that are going to go on there. And it is unbelievable. It's going to be really impressive, and all the different areas that they touch. And so, as you know, we're trying to get the North going up there, and this could be one of the major focal points for the Culinary Center. And it's amazing what can be touched. So all the things that you think about, right? Trying to get everybody there on the culinary purpose, but tying it into, I mean, Lior talking about restaurants, but we're also talking about beer making and wine making and coffee, and having we have a couple of colleges that are by, and how that they're going to be tied to it, and then the ideas coming off of that and how it flows, how people can, because you have a region up there that also has, from the farming perspective, and all the different areas that can participate in this. It's it could really, there's just so many pieces to it. We'll start in one area, but then they can grow this in so many different directions. And so it's really exciting. And yeah, obviously we're in food, and our family has been lucky enough that we've been able to make a living off of food, and to be able to give back in any way we can to something like this. It touches home for us. So yeah, we're extremely excited about what's going to go on with that Culinary Center for sure.
Oh, beautifully said too. And Steve, I'd also love to piggyback off of that and ask if there was anything specific that drew you towards supporting the Culinary Institute. I mean, it's really lucky we have you and Jason and your family involved and able to really kind of guide us, along with a lot of people in the Philly area. Like, I know Michael Salmanov of Zahav is going to be participating as well. Is there something in particular that
well, once again, I think just because that's our world, right? So I think all of us, right? And many of you that are out there, you're always looking for what's that piece that gets you excited within J&F. They have so many different areas. And look, we participate in housing or different areas, but for myself and my family, we're a food family. And so when the Culinary Center, when Russell started to talk about it, obviously the interest jumped tremendously, and it touched us. And obviously we want to be a major part of that and contribute in all the ways that we possibly can. And so for us, that was, as soon as I heard about it, I'm like, that's it. That's where we want to be. So pretty easy. Yeah. Right.
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense too. I'm gonna get to some of the questions that were submitted over the last week or so. Sure. And this is a question, Steve, for both you and Jason. And the question is, have you noticed any change in American palates? Have American culinary taste changed in any way that you can discern with product sales? And then is there a best-selling product that you can discern from that? So over to you. Anything you've noticed?
Sure. So I'll start, and then Jason, he'll pitch in and give some color here. I mean, obviously there's two major trends. One being, which we've been a big player in over the years and continues, which is organic / it's natural / organic, healthy for you, clean ingredients, simple. And that continues to gain strength and has been over the last couple of decades. The second piece to that is, ethnic, right? I mean, everybody's looking for different, because a lot of Americans have traveled, extensively all over. So they've got the opportunity to taste many different things. And so for us, the whole culinary side and the ethnic side of the different flavor profiles is really, what you're seeing everybody's really heading to. And so Jason, maybe you can touch on a little bit in those areas as well.
Yeah, I think, that's definitely a big one when you look at kind of sauces from across the world, right? And I think, you go back a little bit and, it was more generic, right? There might be, sauces from a very broad region for example, Asian sauces that most of you are familiar with. Whereas now that's really evolved to where it's very specific and hyper regionalized, very authentic flavors. So, people don't want just a teriyaki sauce, for example. They want to know where that's coming. They want to be able to taste the authentic ingredients that you might find from a restaurant and expect that level of quality. And I think it's also been cool to see, things like shakshuka, which is very common in Israel, or harissa sauces and things that, were much more specialized or unknown only, 5 or so years ago, are becoming much more mainstream. And it's really exciting.
Definitely fascinating. Yes. So Jason, sticking with you then, can you tell us what is the most satisfying component you have found about the food industry that you've been a part of so far?
Well, I think, one thing that's really cool is, obviously so much work goes in behind the scenes to bring up a product to life. And, it starts with the idea and kind of the culinary side and working with our chefs and R&D teams. And then you have to move it all the way through the process, right? And develop the labels and how do we, scale this to, industrialize it. And it takes a lot of time. Sometimes we're working on these projects for over a year. So I think anytime you go into the store and you can see that product on the shelf, in a lot of cases, we're lucky with the private label, they're very prominently featured on the shelves and end cap displays and things like that. So to see, all the hard work there and maybe someone next to you at the grocery store picking it up, that's always cool and that doesn't wear off.
I can imagine. That's certainly really exciting to see your products in stores for sure. And so here's another question that came through that I'm really interested to find out. Between you both, so Jason, you're the president and the COO, Steve, you're the chairman and the CEO. Can you tell us how your tasks differ on a day-to-day basis?
I play a lot of golf. He doesn't. No, but go ahead, Jason. Why don't you start first and we'll go from there.
Sure. Yeah. So, there's a lot of overlap, of course, but I think, it's worked out well. And I think, we offer, pretty complementary skills. So I've really, we both did, but I've really come up on the operations side. And at this point in my career, that's where I've spent the most time. So that includes manufacturing, but also, supply chain and engineering and some of the other support functions in that area. So that's primarily been my focus. And, I think, won't speak for my dad, but, he's been able to really spend more time externally in terms of, managing the customer relationships and kind of, from a visionary perspective, where we're going and where the market is going. And, of course, there's a lot of overlap, but I think, those are kind of the two lanes that we've been playing in.
I think we really look at it. I've become much more on the strategic side of the business. Jason has a lot of reports to him and he has a ton of people that we have almost 500 people that work for the company. So he's got a lot of reports, he's in the weeds a lot with all the different departments and having to do the day-to-day stuff, which is, once again, as I move up in my age and he starts to take this business over, he's doing a lion's share of the work. For me, it's visionary, working with our CFO, obviously, and our VP of sales, but we got a great combination, and he's doing a fantastic job for the business right now.
And certainly true. And also very complementary roles, it sounds like. I've got another question here, but I'm going to take a moment and just open it up to the group to see if anyone has anything in particular they'd like to ask to Steve and Jason. And if you're unfamiliar with muting, and I'm sure we all know how to do this, but as the millennial, I'll just say that if you go to your little box and you see the unmute and mute button, you can just press that and unmute yourself. So I'll take a pause right here and see if anyone has any questions they'd like to ask Steve and Jason on their interactions and work with Jewish National Fund and also with the company Chelten House. So anything anyone wants to ask? Louise, would you like to ask something?
Yeah. Okay, I unmuted. Just a cute little story that Jason was saying about taking pride in products. Years and years ago, we were in Trader Joe's and they were demonstrating one of your products. And she said, taste it, it's really wonderful. And Alan said, no, thank you. So she said, no, you have to understand how good it is. You have to taste it. And he said, no, thank you. She said, I don't understand you. Everybody is loving this. You have to taste it. Why won't you taste it? He said, because my company makes it. Well, she was so hysterical. She called the manager over and everybody. It was very cute.
That's adorable. Thank you for sharing. And Jackie, did I see you with a question there? Did you have a question, Jackie?
I do. I wanted to know if you make any kosher products.
So it's interesting. Back in the day, we used to do actually a lot of the kosher for Passover products for everyone, from the Manischewitzes back in the day, all the different companies, which we no longer do. It just didn't work for us anymore. But I mean, I go back, God, for 20 years we did that. We do have some kosher products that are OU. Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you which ones, but it's a shame. It's not as long of a list as it used to be. Kosher was a little bit more predominant, I would say 15 years ago, but it's just not as predominant as today. But we still do have some products that are, off the top of my head, I can't tell you how many, probably. Chase, do you know? We have 15, 20 different products.
Yeah, the only one that jumps to mind is the green dragon sauce at Trader Joe's. It's definitely a fan favorite, and that one is kosher.
Thank you. Thank you.
I am very
familiar. Pasta sauce that's kosher that you give to the food pantry?
Yes, that's correct. It is. Yes. The Roselli pasta sauce is exactly right.
I am very familiar with the green dragon sauce. It's actually in my pantry right now. I should have brought it. All right. Here's the last question I'll ask you both, and then we'll move on with the rest of the program too. But just going off of sauces, so how are new products created and how often are they introduced? Would love to know what that process is like.
I'll start off and then I'll let Jason jump in as well. So each year we create many products. We have, as you can see, we have a pretty large our customer list, and that customer list is pretty big. It's like the top 10 retailers are constantly coming to us to do work for them. So it's a combination. We have our culinary team always thinking about what's hot, what's next, what can we introduce to our customers. But we also have our customers calling us and saying, hey, we want you working in these areas. So there's some years are just constant. I mean, we've had where we may add 150 different products in a year. I mean, it's 200, it's a lot. And there's a lot going on from that perspective. So it all depends. Each year a little bit different, but there's many things happening that we're working, and some things don't go all the way through. So some things you don't make it to the finish line, others that do make it to the finish line, but the culinary team is going extensively back there. And maybe Jace, you can give a little on how it works in terms of how we get through the whole culinary.
Yeah. So one thing that's cool is, one of the big indicators of what's successful at retail is the restaurant scene. They're usually, a year to two ahead from an innovation standpoint. So it's a good excuse for us to get out to a lot of the good restaurants in the area, keep an eye on the trends. We also, use a lot of data in terms of, what's selling and what's working in the marketplace and where the different interests from consumers are going. And I think what's really cool is, we get to take all of that and create culinary innovation sessions with our customers. So in a pre-COVID world, we would fly out to the customer, led by our chef, and we would take all of these recipe ideas, either that we came up with on our own or, areas that the customer wanted us to look at. And our chef would convert that into, sometimes a 6-course meal. And you get to see the final application of all of these sauces. And it's a super interactive experience. You get a lot of collaboration and buy-in from the customers. And it's really fun. You get to focus on the food side and a little less on the true business side. And we always really enjoy that. And that's been a way that we've been able to introduce new products and really, create a name for ourselves as a true innovator in the industry.
Well, I volunteer as taste tester for sure, and we'll be following up with you both shortly. I did see that we had one more question, and Paula, I'm going to unmute you now, or actually, I think that might need to be done on your end. So I'll take a pause if you'd like to do that, and Paula, you can ask your question.
Hi. Okay, hold on one second. I'll put my video on. I can be the old lady that I am. So I have a son who is very technologically savvy, and I opened up my iPad today, and apparently I'm Baby Yoda. So that was not my doing. It was also not my doing when my Facebook page showed up in Chinese, but I digress. Anyhow, I'll work on finding my video, but in the meantime, I just wanted to ask, as a four generation business, 8 years ago, I started working significantly with my husband, who started a business more than 20 years ago. And it's clearly his business, and he is, I would say, the brains behind the organization. He always says that we work together and I work with him, but, there's obviously a part of me that says that, I'm working for him. So I just was wondering personally how you have dealt with, I think I just started my video. Did I start my video? No. How you've dealt with, how you've dealt with being a four-generation business and still helping people know that they're important and that they're not there just because they're family.
Yeah, I think, look, I mean, it's the way I've always looked at to be successful and to get to a fourth generation. My father was this way, and I hopefully I am this way. Jason will tell you whether I am or I'm not. But I mean, the key is you really want to put your family members in the best position to be successful. I mean, at the end, you must do that. That is the key, which means, yeah, when they come in the business, they're learning from the ground up. They're going through everything that they must go through so that they have a core that you build from the beginning and they understand. Jason woke up at 4 a.m. He worked in the manufacturing plant for years, not for weeks, for years, to really understand the business from the ground up. And once he has that understanding, or any family member, then they can go to the next step. And what happens is they gain confidence. They gain the confidence of all the people that work at the place. And when you have that, you become a much better leader, and you become, it makes the opportunity to be successful much better. If they go from college right to the corner office, it's just not going to work. And so you really have to be, and then you also have to give the rope to let them make mistakes and do the things like I did. And we all make mistakes. And so all your family members, you have to get out of their way a little bit. And it's hard. I mean, believe me, it is probably the most difficult thing for most, when you're in a family business, for that generation to get out of the way and let the next generation do their things, even if it means making mistakes, because we all made mistakes. And the only way you're going to learn, I hate to say it, but you're not going to learn from Pop. You're going to learn by doing it, making the mistake, and understanding, okay. And that, to me, has got to be one of the hardest things. And so I always believe that when businesses struggle, family businesses struggle, they struggle because the generation that is running it didn't do a good enough job of getting the next generation ready to run it. Not the other people think, oh, it's the next generation that is the one that is the reason why the business fails. And I say, no, I say the reason if it doesn't make it is because most of the time we as a generation didn't do the proper job of getting that next generation ready to run that business, which means you have to be straight. You have to let them make mistakes. They have to work, but you've got to put them in position to do that and have the expectations that they start from the bottom and they learn their way up through that business. And it's been success. I believe it's been success. It was success. My father was great to me. I mean, we had a very much smaller business at the time, but my pops was great. I mean, he let me do my thing. I mean, he got out of my way and he let me do my thing. And I'm hoping to do the same thing with Jason. And he is, and I think I've done a decent job at that. And I'm sure he'll tell you I could do a better job of that, but he's same way. And I think that's I think the key to success in having family members really buy in, because you're buying into them. And if you don't, if you're making every decision for them, it's never going to work. It's just not. So that's, in a nutshell, that's how I see it.
That was an amazing answer. I mean, I can imagine it's really hard to execute that kind of a philosophy. Yes, I really respect you and the generations before you and both beneath you that, that you've been so successful for so long. It's really kudos to the humanity that exists in your family.
No, thank you. I appreciate that.
Jace,
you got any thoughts on that, or did I get that wrong?
No, you're spot on. I think, not to be repetitive, but I think coming in on the ground floor and learning the business is just so important for, the learnings and the respect of the employee base, but also, between me and my dad, right? It's a common bond. It creates respect. We've both gone through, a similar process, even though, the business was different, and going back the same for my grandfather. So it creates that common bond. And I think, we're really lucky. Me and my dad and my grandfather, we all have amazing personal relationships outside of work. So you can always kind of, fall back and lean on that. And my dad's done an unbelievable job, as he said, giving me the rope and backing off, which is not easy. And, showing that trust, and also just, the communication piece is big, setting clear expectations so that, coming into this journey, we're on the same page about, how that's going to look like, and things pop up that are unexpected, and you have to make adjustments, but, keeping those clear lines of communication and alignment. He's done an unbelievable job.
Thank you. What a great question, Paula. Thank you for that.
Sure.
We've got time for one more question. Does anyone have anything they would like to ask at this point? All right. Seeing none at this time, I will just say thank you so much, Steve and Jason. I cannot imagine how busy you both are on a daily basis, and the fact that you have time to speak with us and give us an inside look on Chelten House products is just so appreciated, as well as your support to Jewish National Fund. And thank you so much for your time. It's been wonderful getting an inside look. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the program.
Pleasure. Thanks, everyone.
Lori's going to cook for everybody, so it's going to be awesome.
At this point, we will, exactly what Steve said, we're going to introduce Lori. And Lori, you are a co-chair along with Jackie with Women for Israel, and I will hand the reins over to you.
Thank you, Sam, and thank you, Steve and Jason. And congratulations to Dale and Jackie. As Jackie mentioned, we did meet on that housing fund mission to Israel, and then you hear Steve got involved with this culinary, which is actually part of the Go North task force. But there is something at JNF for everyone. While I was there on the housing fund mission, I was introduced to the special needs task force, and after being a speech pathologist for 35 years, that caught my interest. So there's definitely something in JNF for everyone. And now I want to turn your attention to the easiest thing. This is the Trader Joe's soyaki sauce. And it works great on fish or meat or chicken or turkey. But what we do most of the time is just take your salmon, and what you do is marinate it in this soyaki sauce. So if you have an hour, that's great. If you have 4 hours, that's even better. So really, as long as you can, you just marinate your salmon in this soyaki that is from Trader Joe's. We like to put it on the grill. But in Philadelphia, we just put it in the oven. When we grill it, we do like 7 to 10 minutes on each side. In the oven, you could just bake it at about 375, 15, 20 minutes. It depends on the size of your piece of salmon. And then at the end, it's good to broil it and get it all brown on top. So you put it in the oven, and then here is your lovely salmon soyaki. I don't know if can you see it? You can see it? Okay. All right, so there you go. And that's as easy as could be. And you just buy it at Trader Joe's. I had a laugh when Jason was saying about it's exciting to see the products in the market. Sometimes I go to Wegmans before COVID, and because it's such a huge store, Chelten House has a lot of private label, but they'll have like 6 shelves, like 6 feet wide, of all their Asian sauces, and all of them are coming out of Chelten House factory, which is exciting. And I sometimes take pictures, and I used to take pictures in Trader Joe's if they had an end cap display. But the new Trader Joe's in town actually has a sign, you're not allowed to take any pictures. So I'm not sure why they decided that. And anyway, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about Jewish National Fund. Having been to Israel with JNF on several occasions, I get to see firsthand all the wonderful things that are going on over there. The Food Institute happens to be part of the Go North initiative, and that aims to bring 300,000 people to the Galilee. And JNF strives with the Galilee Culinary Institute to continue promoting the region's economy, infrastructure, and provide housing and employment to create a better future and a brighter future for the land and the people in Israel. So we'll be hosting more virtual events like this, and you'll be receiving information with links to join us throughout the next few months, and Sam will follow up with everyone. And I want to add, Jackie said that this is a special day. October 1st is the start of JNF's new campaign year. And everyone was invited on this call because they have supported JNF's work in the past. And we really appreciate that. You've been a part of our community. And as we enter into the new year and Rosh Hashanah is behind us, we really hope that you'll continue to support JNF by renewing your gift or making a new gift, and it can be to the Galilee Culinary Institute or the Immediate Needs Campaign, which is helping needs right now due to COVID and other issues over there, or supporting any deserving projects. Your support enables us to ensure that we're supporting Israel in the midst of prosperous times and as well as pandemics. So please be in touch with our local director, Sam, and she can answer any questions about the campaign. And our goal is to continue the important work in Israel that we pledged to do. And we hope you'll all be able to join us. And thank you for joining us for our first video event. And have a great evening, everybody.